Chapter 20. Pisago Cabezón. By the fall of 1841, Don Esteban's army weren't no ragtag bunch of lily-livered hired guns no more. No sirree. They was a proper fighting force, toughened up by sandstorms, sun, and gunpowder. Them soldiers, in their dusty duds but with eyes sharp as a hawk's, lined up in a convoy bigger and better'n the one what set out months afore. They was heading back to Galeana, same as before, and there Joaquin was waiting, fixing to get his due for the heroics he done in the last scrap. Folks called him a hero, the only feller what walked away from the Galeana massacre. He was like a flag waving for vengeance, and all the nation was cheering him on. Across the Rio Grande, a passel, a Mescalero Apache slipped over the border like they done every fall, reg'lar as the leaves turnin'. They fetched up in Mere Valley, a spot they knowed as a safe place to swap goods. They pitched camp, haulin' soft deer skins, herbs what'd make your nose tingle, and jerky tough as boot leather. They didn't want no gold in their guns, just corn, maybe a handful of beans. Winter was creepin' close, and they knowed the cost of being foolhardy. One lazy afternoon, a few young bucks from the tribe was skylarking round the camp's edge when they spied something rustlin' in the brush. They snuck up quiet as shadows, and in the sun's blaze they seen a little herd of mules grazin' peaceful like. Them boys' eyes lit up like 4th of July. "Reckon our folks'll be mighty proud," they whispered, grinnin'. With a few slick swings of their lassos, they nabbed them mules. They weren't no scrawny critters neither. Sure, their manes was tangled and burrs was stickin' to their hides, showin' they'd been roamin' the desert a spell. But they was stout, strong beasts, lost maybe, or left behind. Who'd know? The Apaches spruced 'em up, combed out their fur, and shined their hides till they looked near fit for a parade. They was plannin' to tote their goods to Don Laureaniano's ranch. Why hump all that truck on their backs when them mules could carry it? Now Don Laureaniano, that old vaquero with a face like weathered saddle leather, took a shine to the goods. Fine hides, queer smellin' herbs, and jerky what'd keep winter's claws off. But his eyes, sharp as a razor, sized up them mules. They was too fine for some roamin' Apache. "Where'd y'all come by these critters?" he asked, voice low like a growl. The young'uns just laughed and shrugged easy like. Old Laureano, he offered 'em a fair price in corn, and everybody went away happy. Next morning the Indians traipsed back to Mere Valley, smilin' like they'd outfoxed a coyote. Back at the ranch, Don Laureano tugged his hat low and started schemin'. Him and Sergeant Barrios, that feller he'd found half dead in the desert and nursed back to health, loaded the leftover corn onto them mules. They was fixin' to sell it in Galeana, and Barrios was taggin' along. "When we get there," Barrios jawed, wiping sweat off his brow, "I'm headin' straight for the bathhouse. 3 buckets of water I'll dump over my noggin. No, 5. Then a supper like the old days. Fried chicken, rice, a cold beer, maybe even a dance or two, ha-ha. After that," he went on, "I'm marching to the garrison, spilling everything I know. They'll pin a medal on me, and I'll be the big augur of the day." Don Laureano just cracked a half smile. He knowed the road would be long and mean, but he kept his trap shut. He grabbed his walking stick and set out, eyes fixed on the far-off line where sky meets sand. A few days' tramp from there, in the shade of a cave, Ramos, Anelisse, and her ma was staring south. That medicine man D-Way owned reckoned his job was done. He shook their hands, left 'em gifts, a bone-handled knife for Ramos, his blankets for the women, then slipped off into the night like a ghost on the breeze. Come dawn, the 3 of 'em lit out on foot through the desert. First, they passed the spot where the Indians had kicked over the battlefield's leavin's. All they found was some old ropes what had tied up horses. Later, on the blazing trail, they spied the cactus where Heinrich was planted. Elizabeth, that's Annelisse's ma, tied a cross from 2 charred sticks left from their busted cart and whispered a prayer. Anelisse plucked some red cactus flowers and laid 'em on her pa's grave. That march through the dry country was pure misery. The women draped them Apache blankets over their heads to fend off the sun. Ramos, he tromped ahead, stepping like a soldier, always hunting south, never veering. They didn't talk much till the sky turned black and a rip-snorting rain come down like buckshot. They huddled under them blankets, and them cold drops stung their skin. But when the storm passed, the world looked livelier. Anelisse, she murmured soft-like, "Maybe the sky's weepin' for them what ain't here no more." Ramos near hugged her, struck by the gal's tender heart. But her ma shot him a look that'd curdle milk. So he straightened up, twirled his mustache, and barked like a drill sergeant. "No use getting moony. Our water's rationed." The trail stretched on, hot as a skillet and hard as flint. With scarce a word, they dragged their boots over cracked earth till they hit a pile of rocks and flopped in the shade. The quiet was prickly but soothing. They scrounged some firewood. Near anything out there'd burn, it was so dry. They kept a fire blazing till morning to scare off coyotes. They knowed snakes wouldn't cross a rope laid round camp. Whether them varmints thought it was a trap or mistook it for another snake in the dark, nobody rightly knowed. Come sunup, they hit the trail again. Hundreds of miles off, Pisago, that stone-faced Mescalero warrior, kept his past hid behind a mask of loyalty. But one night at the village's edge, an old blind woman shuffled up and croaked, "You swore to fetch back 4 souls, and you ain't paid the price yet." 4 souls left behind. That was Pisago's darkest secret. Years back, when he was a hot-headed young'un, he led a raid into Comanche country. Him and 4 pals rode out, only he come back. His village figured his friends fell in battle, brave as braves ought to be. But Pisago knowed the truth. They'd skedaddled, leaving him alone. 5 young bucks against a whole Comanche village. What chance they have? Them boys went to prove they was men, but when they seen the enemy's numbers, they lit out the night for the raid. Pisago, he snuck into a tent alone, grabbed what he could, and tapped a sleepin' feller with a stick. Killin' ain't courage. Sparrin' is. He come back with a Comanche chief's tomahawk, and that made him a chief hisself. He never heard tell of them 4 again, not in 10 springs. In his heart, he would known they'd betrayed him. Admittin' that make him look weak, he reckoned. Then he heard about Sakia, a brave what rode with the Sebbakinande band and come back draped in glory and loot. That's when Pisago knowed it was time to settle his debt. He'd heard tell of the smiling gal and the Mescalero medicine man what walked unarmed to parley with Mexican soldiers. That lit a fire in him. He rounded up 20 of his best riders and set out to pay a call on Cigarito.